and welcome to another episode of Your Career Success. I'm your host, Susie Mosley-Payne, and you're watching the show dedicated to inspiring and empowering career women around the globe to grab hold of your own success, unlock your potential, and create the career and life you love. I've got a great episode for you today. It's going to be another career coffee chat with Emily Armitage. And Emily is a entrepreneur, ex-corporate career woman, human design business coach, and we're going to delve into your career and entrepreneurial journey. Emily, thank you so much for joining me. So excited to have you here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Amazing. So let's dive in then. So let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do in your business, your human design business coaching, who you help, and your why behind the business. Just tell us all about that to start off with.
Okay, so hello, I'm Emily, and I work predominantly with, only with women and people who identify as women. And I use human design and business design to help them create and refine their businesses to be really, truly about who they are at the core. And I think so many of us can get so lost in what we should do and shouldn't do and all these like strategies and what we see online that we forget that actually ourselves, whether that's your career or your business, is such the core of what we do. Like we are the essence of that. And so it's about getting back to you and using human design as a real tool for self-discovery, self-exploration, self-realization, really, and combining that with like fundamental business basics, if you like, to really help you and propel you and elevate and move forward. And a lot of the women that I work with, they've had a huge amount of success. They're hitting those like magical 10K months, or, you know, they're building 6-figure businesses, and actually they are burning out. They're overwhelmed. They want more time. They started their business for more time, and it's not quite how they thought it would be. So I help them get back to that. What was for the question? Totally forgotten.
No, that's great. Do you know what? I was saying to you earlier before we clicked record, human design, I've heard it spoken about, and I know a little bit about it. And I did do a human design assessment a few years ago, but I never took the insights and did anything with them. And I think it's an untapped area for me. So I'm really excited to know more. And that from what I know of other entrepreneurial women who use human design, it's like you say, it can give you so much direction and clarity and can help you in so many ways with your business. It's not a woo-woo thing, is it? It's really helpful for business overall.
Yeah. And I think it is kind of woo, because it does talk about energetics, and it's ultimately your sort of energetic blueprint for who you are. So it is woo, but I think we can have a tendency sometimes to disregard woo and leave it on the table, when actually, if you bring it in, like my clients get really tangible benefits from it. They have strategies that work. They've got 122% increase on their revenue from the month before.
Wow.
Like it's real tangible stuff. So you are doing yourself a disservice if you leave woo on the table.
I agree. Why would you be closed off to it? It's like,
so big companies use it, like Meta use it, Google use it, Nike use it for like building their teams and things like that. So, you know, they're doing it. So why should we be left behind?
Awesome. I agree. Totally agree. And I can't wait to find out more about it. We are going to do a separate episode, aren't we? Like following on from this, where we cover the human design piece. So if you are interested, for anyone watching or listening, if you are interested in knowing more, we are going to do more of a deeper dive around it. But for today, Emily, let's delve into your career journey, your entrepreneurial journey. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the beginning? Do you want to start where you are now? It's up to you.
Oh, I don't know. Let's start at the beginning. I've had a very, very wiggly, weird career, quote unquote. Like it's not been a linear trajectory at all, but there has been a real thread that's connected everything, and that's been people and how they behave. So if you want to get really like start at the beginning, when I was like 3 or 4, I wrote a price list out for my parents for like doing jobs around the house and looking after my sister. I was like, there's terms on there, like when you've got to pay me, like all this sort of stuff, for like hoovering and reading to my sister. So I guess you could say it started quite early. And then I got a job when I was like 14. I was like, I need money, basically. I need some independent cash. So I got a job at hairdressers, and I lasted about 3 weeks because it was awful. It was not my calling in the slightest. And they paid me £10 for 9 hours work, which I was totally indignant about. Never mind, it's probably illegal to employ a 14-year-old, but that's by the by. So yeah, I lasted 3 weeks, and then I wrote them like a really incredulous letter about how shocking it was that was their pay conditions for me, and I'd done so much work. And yeah, it was quite an introduction into the world of work. Like, it was a hard graft, like it was physically very tiring, and it made me realize like how do I want to spend my time, and how do I want to earn my money. Like, just any old thing isn't gonna work for me. Like, hairdressing is not for me. I you know, big shout out to anybody who does that. It's hard bloody work, especially because you're dealing with people all the time and their creative expression, right? Like, you've got to get it right. So yeah, I did that, and then I kind of sacked it off for a bit and just did like babysitting and stuff. And then when I was doing like A levels, I was doing like retail and working in a cafe, that sort of thing. And that really exposed me to the general public and people can get very, very cross about a muffin. Like, I was yelled at in that job far more than any other job I've been in. And I was like 17 and like trying to manage a counter and a coffee machine and getting burns off the panini machine and all that sort of stuff. But I was getting a paycheck, and that led, because I was in a department store, that led into working for a cosmetic brand, because I was interested in fashion and cosmetics, and I knew there was an opening and chatting, in the staff room and stuff, and that led into that. And I worked for various counters for that particular brand in various department stores for probably about 18 months, 2 years. And then I was like, selling is like, I sell in a very specific way. Like, I'm not somebody who's good with targets and like a real thing like that. And that's interesting, because once I found out more about my human design, I was like, oh, that is why I can't do that. Like, goal setting is very different for me and people with this certain part of their design than for other people. So the specifics don't work. And what I learned was, when I could build relationships with people and have a really reciprocal kind of thing going on, people would seek me out. So I'd have ladies that would come who would like, no, like, I want to talk to Emily, I want to, do this or try out this or whatever. So that was an interesting lesson. But eventually I got fed up with the hours working in retail, and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. I know. What does everybody always need? Houses. I'll be an estate agent. It was very sort of on a whim kind of sort of logic, but not at all. So I went to work for a local estate agents, and I was this is not a good place to work if you're not good at selling to targets, right? I worked there for 18 months and I didn't sell anything. Like, I would have fired me, but they didn't. They were very lovely, and they could see my skill set lay in relationships and people and writing and communication. So I ended up being like the receptionist and the face of the new homes and builder centre space. So any clients that came in, any builders that came in, it was me. So I was building relationships with builders. They knew I was the sort of point of call. And I used to write adverts and press releases, local press. And that's kind of what I did. And then I ended up leaving there because I started a business with my then partner, and we set up, it was basically his like freelancing, I guess, but I did all his like accounts, and we set up a couple of other things. So there was he sold website templates, so I did a lot of the marketing for that. and we set up a recording studio because we were both interested in music, and that died a death, but we did that. So we sort of founded things together. And then that relationship was a toxic relationship. It was not a good situation to be in. And I'll come on to sort of, it's part of my why today, because there was a lot of coercive control in there, a lot of financial control, and I kind of lost who I was, really. And then once that relationship broke down and I was kind of like totally at sea, I was like scrabbling around for jobs, like what on earth can I do? Like I'd moved back in with my parents and all that sort of stuff. And I ended up very, very randomly getting a marketing assistant job for a Chinese restaurant chain. And this has honestly got to be one of the most bizarre jobs I've ever had in my entire life. So I worked in the restaurant, but like at a table at the back with a laptop. I was the assistant, there was the marketing manager, and that dynamic was very odd. Like, I'm not sure why I got the job, if you get my drift. And I was the only like English national that worked in the company, particularly at management level. So all meetings were conducted in Cantonese. I hadn't got the foggiest clue what was going on because I do not speak Cantonese. I experienced bullying. I experienced like total destabilizing stuff. Like I used to have to bring my passport into work with me because they used to get busted by immigration on a regular basis because they had a lot of interesting working practices. I used to get my wage weekly in a takeaway bag with orders written on it, and I was the only person in the company that had a pay slip because I demanded one, because I was like, I need to safeguard myself here in the future because this could get really sticky. And I just hated it, and it ended up being like quite a controlling place to work because they knew I wasn't happy and they knew I was looking for a way out. So they kind of put me on report, and I had to like get managers to sign me in to say I'd worked, and it all got a bit messy. And yeah, it wasn't a good place to be. So I jumped ship from there and got a job, and again, totally different industry, at a adventure travel company. And I was there for 5 years. It was a really good place to work. Like I made a lot of good friends there. And it opened me up to an entirely new world. Like we did treks to Kilimanjaro, we did climbs up Everest, like we did ski season, we did mountain hut stuff. Like it was a very interesting world to be immersed in. And yeah, I was answering phones there basically, and like helping people with their bookings, like booking administrator. But gradually the marketing stuff crept in, and I ended up doing a lot of their social media channels and doing a lot of their like brochure design, like helping with brochure design and proofreading and all that kind of stuff. Like it got me to understand like the cycle of marketing and the customer journey and all that kind of stuff. I have got qualifications in like business and marketing and stuff, but actually to see it applied and to see it in motion is very different to the sort of more academic side of it. And then how long have we got for this? Like,
do you know what? I'm sorry, I've got to stop you. Me and Emily have known each other for quite a long time, and I didn't know any of that. I knew you when we worked together for a university when I was there as an interim consultant.
I'm nearly onto that bit.
And I had no idea about any of that. That's just so, oh wow. I can totally get now why. Because obviously I only saw the role that you did at the university. But I totally get now why you've ended up going down the entrepreneurial route. And it's so funny. We need to do an episode on funny places to work stories, because you know when I was 17, and I always used to get questioned on this when I put it on my CV. When I was 17, I used to work at somewhere called Rubber Safety Hygiene, and it was like everybody was like, what kind of place is that where you worked? And I'm like, it was a safety clothing company. It was not anything. It was like, but the name, oh dear. Yeah. But that's so funny about when you said you'd got that list for it. I used to clean for my grandma and do like a list of like, you pay me for this, and I had like a catalogue bill which was like 300 quid, and my only chance of paying it off at like age 11 was to clean for her like every week. So it's
that's
so
amazing.
Anyway,
so funny.
Going back to your story then. So I didn't know any of that about you. Carry on.
So we did meet at uni. So when I left, because I didn't get a pay rise at all in those 5 years when I was at that adventure travel company. And obviously, like, life changes a lot in 5 years, especially when you're in your 20s to 30s, because it was like back end of my 20s that I got that job. And like, we bought a house and we were planning on traveling and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I need more money. Like, I'm here because I'm good friends with everybody and it's a nice-ish environment to work in, but I'm not progressing. I can't progress. You know, what can I do? And so I applied to university, which is where I'm at Sue's. But when I started, I was working in 2 departments doing marketing and communications. And that was so good. Like, that was one of the best jobs I've ever had. Like, the environment in the department, particularly one of them, like, it was so, everybody was just like full of ideas. It was really inspirational and people got shit done. And it was just like, and there was a lot of women in there who were very well thought of and were quite inspirational, to use that word again, because my experience of working with women previously had been quite catty in like cosmetic land, and then it had been quite like friendship based, but also we were being told what to do by the guys who were managers, so it was we were all like on a level kind of thing. And this was my first experience of seeing women calling the shots, really, and having very high-powered jobs and making decisions and steering the ship. And that was that sparked a lot in me. Like, when I came out of the interview for that, I was like, I want that job. I want to be there. I want to be with these women in this space. And I was, and I learned a huge amount. So yeah, and then I moved around a bit in the university in kind of similar sorts of roles around like marketing and admissions and basically selling courses and programs to students. But again, a lot of marketing strategy, a lot of communication, a lot of understanding the customer journey and what people want and all that kind of stuff. So again, it was like applied. And then the university were doing a big change project. And because I'd got a lot of knowledge in that area and a lot of connections and a network throughout the university, I ended up on secondment to that and became like immersed in a change role, change transformation. But also that involved still a lot of marketing, planning, like project planning, strategy, like working out what we're going to do. And that was a real kind of eye-opener into the world of change and transformation, and like helping people through something, a bigger thing than them. And kind of alongside all like my corporate stuff, I've always had like side hustles. So I've had like social media, like doing social media for local companies and things like that. And then I qualified as a coach in 2020 because I'd had coaching myself and I'd been like, oh my God, this is something I need to do when I was having it as the coachee. But it took me like 7 years to pluck up the courage to actually do the qualification. So I qualified in 2020 and then set up doing like general life coaching alongside my role at university. And that worked for a while, and then it really didn't. And then I pivoted to money coaching because, as we talked about earlier, women and money is such a big thing for me because of that toxic relationship that I had. And I know what it's like to not have any financial control or autonomy or freedom and how important that is. And I'm a big believer that business is one of the best vehicles we have as women to getting that financial control and freedom. And then in turn, the ripple effect of what we can do with that money, with our intentions, with our vision, with our values, we can make such massive change in the world. So that is one of the big whys behind what I do now, is making other women see that and do that and making their businesses work for them, so they're not burnt out, they're not overwhelmed, then they're able to use that money intentionally to make big change and transformation in the world around them. So I guess that's kind of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
What an amazing why to have. I think you're right. Everything. I love everything that you've said. Like I say, I had no idea that was your background. It just shows, doesn't it? It just shows that when you've worked with somebody, even though we worked together so closely, didn't we? For I was only there for about 4 months, but we were a really close team, and we worked so closely together every day. It just shows that you don't get to see all of that side of your colleagues. And I loved hearing all that. That's really great.
It's a bit of a winding one. I did warn you in the beginning.
That's great. No, I love it. I love it. Oh, so tell us about where you are now then, and your current business.
Okay, so I left my job at the uni in December 2023. Yes, we're 24 now. Yes. So like nearly a year ago. And I now work full time as a business coach using human design, business design for women and their businesses. And it took me a while to take the leap, but a big catalyst for that was getting pregnant. And I got pregnant, and my business actually wasn't working at all. Like, I had no clients, I had no money coming in, and I was like, okay, I really want this business to work, and I really want a family life that we choose, not one that's kind of forced upon us by the corporate world. And how am I going to make this happen? Like, I love my business, I love what I do, but it's not working right now. And that's when I really lent into my human design, and I applied it to absolutely everything in my business. Like, not just my purpose, not just like everything, like how I market, my offers, like how I structure my day, my time, my business model, all that kind of stuff. And I used my maternity leave as a way of carving out time with a newborn. You're up a lot, like you're up 24 hours a day. So I got loads of time. It's not sustainable. I don't recommend it in the slightest. But I had a lot of time to think about my business and implement stuff and build stuff and change it and pivot it. And I came back sort of from my maternity leave to a totally different business. And I've been able to build that to be in a place where I could leave my job. So obviously went back for my notice, and then left at Christmas last year, and now this is what I do, and I love it. Amazing. I love it so much.
Amazing. One of the questions that I was going to ask you is, like, if that whole journey, do you now feel like you're living a life of your own design, and do you feel fulfilled? But I can tell the passion in your voice. The answer is 100% yes to that, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Like, when I can, because my husband has a very odd job as well. Like, he works for Moto2 race team, so his work follows the season, so he's basically not here for 6 months of the year, but like split into chunks. But when he's here, and I wanted to be able to use that time in a way that worked for us as a family, and we do. Like, we are able to spend time together and go on adventures and do what we want to do while both doing the work that we love. Like, it's, yes, there's compromises, but we both get to have what we want. And I know that I am happy and satisfied now, but also I know that things change. Like, this is just a phase. Everything is just a phase. So it's about recognizing that, loving where you are, but also looking ahead and being like, what will need to shift? How do we need to do this? What, that kind of stuff. And your design can really help you with that too, because you can really anchor into key parts of it to help you make those decisions in a way that's not about second guessing yourself, and it's not about, feeling unsure. It's about giving yourself the permission slip to do what you want, not what society says or what your mum thinks or what you've been told you should do. It's about what works for you. We've got one shot, and we're here for a short time. Like, do what you need to do.
100%. Yeah. And that is exactly one of the reasons why I started this whole show platform. It's, like you say, to take control of what you want from you. Like, we've got one life, haven't we? And it's a short one in the grand scheme of things. So do what you love, because we spend so much time at work. It's just to be stuck in a job or a career or in something that is not fulfilling you, is not in alignment with your purpose, with what impact you want to make for yourself, your family, in the world. It's sad, really, if we're just wasting, ticking the days off. So yeah, I totally agree. That's a great mission behind your business. What are your future goals and aspirations then for your business and your life? And I like that question.
Yeah. See, that's very interesting, a question, because, and I'm going to get a bit technical in terms of human design here. So I am a generator. That is my energy type. And one of the things that generators do is they're very like in the moment kind of people, and they have a lot of energy, and they're here to do what lights them up and master that. But equally, like, we respond to the world around us. So in terms of like long-term planning, I find that really, really hard for me, because I don't know what I'm going to be responding to in, I don't know, 6 months, a year's time. I guess very loose plans and vision is to keep building the business, to keep serving more women, to keep building in a scalable, consistent way without impacting my time and how we are as a family unit. And yeah, just being able to use the money that I make to thrive as a person, but also to help me and my family and my community and the causes that I care about and stuff that I see in the wider world that needs changing, influence that as well. So yeah, I guess that's my answer, my very vague answer on that.
Do you know what? I feel like you've just described me. I wonder, when I do my human design, if I'm going to be a generator as well. I'm so intrigued by it now. Yeah. Ooh, exciting. Right. Next question. Tips for career success. That's what we'll move on to. So if you were to call out 3 things, the top 3 things that you feel have really helped you on your windy wiggly journey to where you are now, to living this life of fulfillment with this amazing business, what would be the top 3 things?
Top thing, building a business or a career is not a solo sport. You need support. There is so much support out there, whether that's a colleague who's a bit ahead of you, whether that's an official mentor, whether that's a course you do in your pajamas at 9 o'clock instead of watching Made in Chelsea. Like, it doesn't matter. There's support out there. And I think there's so many stories that we carry, as particularly as women, that we have to do everything on our own and we have to carry it ourselves, and we can't, other women are competition, and we can't, let our guards down. And those can be real hard experiences that we've had personally, or it can just be like social and familial stories that we've sort of taken in by osmosis. But when you uncover all those and let people in, you will get a lot further. We will get a lot further collectively than we can on our own. So that would be my first one. My second one, you are more capable than you think you are. And so many of us, and again, it's kind of like we have to downplay what we can do, or we feel like we have to doubt ourselves, and we feel like we have to, not be self-confident, because confident women are, not, what's the word, like hunted down a little bit, and she's too big for a boozer, or she's full of herself, who does she think she is, rocking up in an orange jacket, that kind of thing. And it's, don't do yourself a disservice just to make other people happy. Like, you have far more potential and capabilities than you are letting yourself embrace and use. So use them. And what would my third one be? Rest. Like, you don't have to do it all now. Like, you need time, and things need time to percolate as well. Like, yes, action is great, and if you don't take action, you won't move forward in any respect. But you have to do it at a time that works for you, and you have to rest and nurture yourself as well. And I think we can get a little bit caught up in the hamster wheel and just doing. And actually, for so many of us, like, you're not designed that way. Like I am. I'm a generator. I can go like a Duracell bunny, but that's not necessarily a good thing either. But for people that are like projectors, manifestors, reflectors as an energy type, you need to rest. Like, you're not meant to do work in the way that we've been doing it since the Industrial Revolution and capitalism came along. Like, that is not what you're here for. So rest up.
I think they're a great three. Amazing. Yeah, 100%. Ooh, last question. So
Okay.
if you could go back and talk to your younger self in your 20s or late 20s, early 30s or early 20s, you're way younger than me, so
I'm
you're
not that
going
much
back that
younger.
far. You are you're going back less than me, which makes me very sad. But anyway, right, so if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what would you say to her to stop her, well, to help her overcome some of the challenges, or just to give her some great advice for her future self and the path that she's going to tread?
Believe in yourself more and don't people please as much. That'd be it.
Yeah,
and
that's really good.
And there's one thing that I really like to think about, and that is you're only ever one decision away from totally changing your life. Like, that gives so much freedom. Even if I'm not going to make the decision, the option is there. And it's knowing that, like, you could quit your job tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't know until you do it, right?
Amazing. Yeah, love that. Thank you so much, Emily. It's been incredible to hear your journey. I've learned a lot today about you, which is really lovely. And I can't wait to delve into human design in that future episode with you and learn more about it and how it can help women in their businesses, in their careers and in their lives. So
Amazing.
Super excited for that. But thank you so much for being part of this and being so transparent on your journey.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, for anyone watching, I hope this has been a super inspiring episode. I've absolutely loved it. Thank you for listening, watching. Have a great week, everyone. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because there's loads more episodes like this to come, and lots of inspiration, actionable tips and strategies that you can take and implement in your life, career or business. So we'll see you on the next one. And thank you again, Emily.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.